Two. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Marvel, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning to each and every one of you. It is Tuesday, May 6th. Ooh, the day is already the month is already flying away. For those of you who have already planted, that was a good thing because the rain is doing what it needs to do to get your flowers to grow and thrive. Good morning. Today is a listening Tuesday. Today I have no guests on purpose. Today I want to be able to talk to you about the things that matters to you. Let me just make sure. Hold on. Is that my Wrong account. See, this is why, Black Jesus, this is why. Hold on, y'all. I'm in the wrong account. Close. I cannot do live broadcasts from my A.Lawful Truth Instagram account yet. So it causes me close. It causes me to have a little bit of angst because, we're trying to figure it out. So I want to make sure that I'm going live on IG uh, so that folks can see. All right, well, here we go. We are live on IG. Good morning, Beatrice. Good morning, to Happy Tuesday. Good morning, Marguerite. Good morning to all of you. I see you all here. So I have folks on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube. Purposeful, right? So we're working this out. Anyway, it is Listening Audience Tuesday, and so I'm going to do news. I'll have some conversations with you, but can we get started with the Met Gala? Can we listen? For those of you who have been following me for a good long time, then you know that Mova has a rear view mirror review that I do after every red carpet event. And I knew months ago that the Met Gala 2025 was going to be Black men putting together a theme. And the theme was dandyism. So if you were going to knock the theme out of the park, you had to wear something that looked like a suit. If it's a gown, whatever, how do you knock it? A tie, pinstripes, however you define a suit in your terms. What I saw that a lot of people did was they took the Harlem Renaissance and phew, I had very little to complain about, very little to complain about. So this morning, instead of waiting until after my show ended to put up my rear view mirror reviews, it's up. The rear view mirror reviews are up. I couldn't look because you all began commenting at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I promise you it'll be worth your while. I'm so grateful and really heartened by the Met Gala this year because they turned the theme on its head and people were allowed to dress in a way that reminded them what getting dressed up really should look like. And so Tiana Taylor, she used Ruth, the woman that the costume designer that designed all the costumes for Wakanda, Black Panther. She used her to get her costume together, and she knocked it out the park. I had a ball doing all of this. Unfortunately, I have to go back to the reality of things that are going on here, and there's something that I wanted to read to all of you because I'm starting to recognize that not only are people not preparing for not having food on your shelves, not preparing for all the things, there are many of you who believe that this is much ado about nothing. Like, this is never going to happen, despite all the things that we're seeing happening in front of us, despite everything that's happening every day. And what I began to recognize is so many of you don't care because it's not happening to you. So many of you are okay because you can travel at will, you can buy whatever you want to buy right now, and you feel comfortable. And while you're hearing the stories of people being snatched, American citizens being snatched and sent away, for whatever the reason, because they're just willfully putting off the streets, because maybe your supermarket shelves are not starting to empty yet, because the way the food chain supply works, they always have, like a 6 month advance of food so that you don't just run out of food immediately. But you're seeing it happening in some stores, in some neighborhoods. I went into Whole Foods yesterday to return something, and the shelves there were pretty much full. They were redecorating and all the things. But if you go into the city and go into certain supermarkets, you already begin to see that the food supply is lessening. So for those who can't afford to pay for food at the prices that Whole Foods has it, then I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm finding that the empathy chip in so many of you is missing. Just unkind. Just, I don't care what you say. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do because my life is okay. And unfortunately, when you only consider yourselves and you don't think about what's happening to the people around you, it becomes an issue over time because by the time it hits you, the people that would normally take care of you are already gone or perished. Same thing happened in COVID. We saw the same selfish behavior. I'm fine. I want my children to go back to school. I don't care. This is just much ado about nothing. Even as they watched on the news, hundreds of thousands of people dying every day, every single day. And so I don't know what else to say to all of you to get you to a place where you understand that this is necessary if we're going to survive what is coming, that we have a government that has decided these are certain things that they wanted to do. They wrote a whole manifesto. At first they said Project 2025 was not anything to worry about. Then they, embraced it wholeheartedly. We have a gentleman from, and I use that term loosely, gentleman from Tesla who was allowed to go into government and allowed to go into our information, and we still are walking around acting like we're just going to be all right. Good morning, Debbie Womack. Good morning. We're still just walking around like all is well. And so I need to find out from all of you, what will it take for you to start to prepare on some small level about what is coming for us in this country? Or be honest with me. Tell me if you do believe that this is not anything, that you just think this is not, there's nothing is going to come of this. As I am trying to live a normal life like many of you, I continue to see the news. And oh my God, the people are on here responding to my, and it's doing well too. I need you to, Apple.com wrote this. So I need you to hear this. Airport detentions have travelers freaked out. Now remember, you can only travel if you have your real ID. Remember, you can only travel if you have a passport. So these are people who have all the required documents to get on flights to go wherever they want to go. Fears of being detained are in overdrive, even if the Trump administration insists that they're overblown. Nick Miroff wrote this. Jeff Joseph, a 53-year-old immigration attorney in Colorado, has recently started taking precautions while traveling abroad that at another time he would have considered a little paranoid. He leaves his phone at home. Instead, he carries a burner, a device scrubbed of his contact list and communications in case the United States Customs and Border Protection officers send him to secondary inspection or seize his electronics when he returns home. Joseph told me his knowledge of immigration law has left him with less confidence, not more, after the risks of crossing U.S. borders during the second Trump administration. Among immigration lawyers who are well versed in this, and who know what happens in secondary, there's a level of anxiety and panic that we've never seen before, said Joseph, the president elect of the American Immigration Lawyers Association, myself included. The anxiety is not limited to immigration lawyers. Ahead of summer travel season, online message boards have been humming with vacation worries and crowdsourced advice. Users are telling one another to delete social media accounts on their devices, turn off facial recognition features to make it harder for officers to gain access, and pack photocopies of their personal documents, such as birth and marriage certificates. Donald Trump, on his first day in office, ordered CBP and other federal agencies to intensify their screening of foreigners and immigrants. Good morning, Bobby Carr. Maria says, "Hey, Sharia." She says, "Geez, Lord, get us through the next 36 months." Well, your president has said that he is going to be in for 4 more years. He believes he'll be a two-term president, so he'll be a president 3 times. And according to everything that we have been reading thus far, his ultimate goal is to create a scenario where he can put in a wartime act. And when you put a wartime act, then the elections are null and void, and a president can stay in office as long as he wants to. And so all these things are going on. And I think people are just like, well, it's just happening in Europe. He's just putting tariffs in you. Yeah, well, all these things. And so what I don't want you to do is to be unprepared on any level. unprepared. Monica says, no, Andrea, I'm scared, preparing for the worst and praying for the best, but continuing to work, live, and help others, especially my neighbors. That's specifically what I am doing, Monica. Plant your crops, right? If you're someone who loves to plant, or if you're a first time planter, get your seeds or get your plants, plant your little seedlings plants and start to plant them. Even if nothing else, you're going to make sure that you have potatoes, tomatoes. I've got greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes. Thank you, darling. So that you can move and do what you need to do as the food shortage comes. We've been in a pseudo recession for a while, so I think to really pay attention to what's going on. Cheryl says, I'm too blessed to be stressed. Good morning. Yeah, yeah. I need us to pay a little bit more attention than that. Those of us who have been reading the news and following it closely understand what's in front of us. And believe me, white folks are scared beyond measure because they're out here protesting. They understand the laws. They understand that our three levels, our three branches of government has been decimated. I went to an event a couple of weeks ago and talked to a sitting judge, and he looked at me and he said, I feel like you're one of the few people that are going to understand what I'm about to say. Now, he's a sitting judge in the city of Philadelphia. He looked at me and he said, the United States is no more. The average citizen does not recognize that the United States is no more because we're too caught up in our everyday life and all the things that are going on. He said our Constitution has been decimated, our three branches of government has been decimated, and by the time people realize what is going on, it will be way too late. And so, while I am a believer, I am someone of faith, and I pray and I read my Bible, and I believe that we are here for such a time as this. Good morning, David. Um, I know Cheryl. I know Cheryl. Good morning, Nikia. Good morning, David. While I believe all those things and I have insurmountable faith, if I did not have insurmountable faith, I would have taken myself and gone back to my land because guess what? I got folk there. We've got homes there. All the things. So I start to not think about myself and think about the people who are going to be impacted in ways. Good morning, Chloe. Impacted in ways that goes beyond the pale. And so, how are we helping each other? What are you doing? What does that look like? Right? Is it, and it could be something as simple as I'm going to stop spending money. I'm going to utilize what I have in my closet. I will help my neighbor. I'll check in with my neighbor and see what we can do, to help each other. Marguerite says my young neighbor has had a garden for us for years. Absolutely. Can you share part of your backyard with your neighbor so they can plant something if they don't have a space to plant? Things like that, right? And when you go out, you spend your money wisely. You don't go out and spend money on a $300 lunch. I mean, if you want to, that's up to you, but coins are coins. And so, Denise and I go out every week, one day a week. We go out. We don't sit around and talk about people. We literally talk about what's going on in our heads and our hearts and within our families and how we can support each other. And she already said, listen, I know I've come to your garden. I have seen all the things that you have planted. So I'm not going to the market. I'm going to come to you. I'm going to come to you for my potatoes, my tomatoes, my green beans, my eggplants, my beets. I planted all of it. Now, I'm not sure if all of it is going to take. So far, so good. I have strawberries. I am using, and let me just be very clear with all of you. I think my crops are growing at an alarming rate because I am using mushroom compost. Um, my husband told me about it because there's a college called Delaware Valley University where it's a farming college. It's a teaching college for people who want to become farmers. And they told him to tell me to use mushroom compost. Baby, at $4 a bag, you put that thing, mix it in with the soil. I have strawberries now that are ripening. I said, Black Jesus, what is going on here? So, be mindful of the soil. If you only have dirt, that's fine, but you've got to dig the dirt. If you see worms in your dirt, then you know your soil is doing well. I call it dirt. Y'all call it soil. You know that if there are worms in your soil, you know that you have really good, robust soil and you're going to be okay. Jasenia said, my anxiety levels are through the roof. This is the new America. I am praying for a miracle. So America is, as we know it, is over. I don't know any other way to tell you. And for those of you who are not quite there yet and believe that this is not a thing, I was talking to a friend the other day who I'm being very careful about how I share this because it is not a thing that I want to cause an issue for anyone. There is a transgender child that is graduating from high school with all the A's, applied to every Ivy League school, every Ivy League school, got into every one of the Ivy League school. And when that child decided that she would tell the schools that she was transgender, they all pulled it except Howard University. Howard University gave her 80 something thousand dollars, full scholarship. And the colleges are very concerned about what the Trump administration would do if they understood that they had a transgender student. That's how crazy it has gotten in these United States of America. When the doctors who would normally perform the transgender surgeries are saying they can't do it through insurance because they're afraid the Trump administration will come and attack them. So, for those of you who think that we are not in a different time, space and time, and that was just one example, people are coming out of their houses and being snatched, not because they're not United States citizens, but because this administration does not like what we say on social media. So we have to be mindful. Do you not understand where we are? Or do you just not care? Do you just not care because you're living your best life and nobody's bothering you and you're just going to move on and do what you do? I just, I just, I am mortified. I am mortified that we just believe that this is all about us and that we're in our singular place. As long as I'm okay, and as long as I'm getting what I get, and as long as what I want is happening, then I am fine. That is what I call stinking thinking. And for those who are there, they've often wondered why is it that some other people's lives are growing and thriving. Try your very best to be as kind as you can. If you can be anything, if you can't be anything else, be kind. A memory came up for me this morning. I had gone to a spot in North Carolina, and I can't remember the name of it now. It's actually now destroyed from the hurricane that hit it a year and a half ago. And so, beautiful space. Kellogg Foundation was doing a conference, and they reached out to me and asked me if I could present around parenting and what does that look like. And I remember seeing Isabel Wilkerson, Warmth of Other Sons, and Susan L. Taylor from the Cares Mentoring Movement, and just all these folks. Lettucey was singing one night, all of that. And it was a beautiful space. I mean, beautiful, gargantuan, beautiful conference center. And I remembered walking out of doing my session, and I was saying hello. I said hello to everybody, particularly the people who were cleaning the hotel, the wait staff, the folks, So this one guy, I was coming out, this is my third day there. And I'm walking out the room after presenting, and the guy stopped me and he says, Miss, can I ask you a question? I knew immediately he was Jamaican. And I said, sure. And he said, we have been watching you for days. Everybody's talking about how you are so kind. You say thank you, you tip us. We don't often see that because people who are serving in hotels are invisible to the guests, and the guest treats us as if, we're just there to make sure they're okay, and they're very unkind in a lot of ways. And he said, I just wanted to, on behalf of all of us, say thank you. And I said, boy, star. And he jumped. He said, you're Jamaican? I said, I am. You know what that man did? He hugged me, asked to take a picture. I took a picture with him when I'm about my business. For the rest of the time, and I think I was there for 5, 6 days, the rest of the time I was there, every Jamaican that was working in that conference and hotel came over. One morning there were four of them. I went down to have breakfast, and they, Miss, we heard about you. Miss, we heard about, what can we get for you? Miss, can we make you a waffle? Miss, can we help you? And the people, particularly the white folks, were like, well, who are you? I said, I am just a conference attendee here. They're like, no, you're not. There are all these people running over talking to you. I said, really? Because I'm being kind. I literally was kind. I spoke to them as if they were human beings. I loved on them. And that's what it reaped. And everywhere I go, I make sure that I treat the people that are giving me service in the best way possible. I make sure that I do not leave. My mother told me, she said, don't you ever walk out of a hotel and not tip the people that are cleaning your rooms and making your beds, and tip them well, she says, because they don't get paid well. And so that is something that follows me. You get your makeup done, you're thinking because you're paying for your makeup, you shouldn't tip the people. It's a service, y'all. It's a service. And so I need us to be better about the way we manage and handle people, because what you do comes back to you. The karma you put out shows right back up when you least expect it. And so everywhere I go, even if it's right here in Philadelphia, I remember walking past a man that was unhoused near the district attorney's office. You've heard me tell this story before. And I breezed past him because I was trying to go into City Hall, and he stopped me. He said, "Man," he said, "your energy, something about your energy." And I said, "Oh, hey, honey." I said, "Thank you. I'm actually running across the." He said, "Yeah, but I just want to tell you your energy brightened my day, even though you were just walking by me." And I said, "Can I offer you something? Can I give you some money?" Because I recognized immediately he was unhoused. He said, "No, I just wanted to tell you your energy impacted me." And I hauled off and hugged the stuffing out of the man. He hadn't bathed in I can't tell you how long. He burst into tears on my arms and said he couldn't remember the last time he got a hug. Now, I'm not telling you to do this, because if it's not you, if it's not authentically you, don't go there. But treat people well. Treat people well. It costs you absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Carrie Ann Dan says, "What's your story? What brought you to Philadelphia?" The nerd I'm married to, the nerd, the nerd I'm married to brought me to Philadelphia. Um, I'd lived somewhere else for a while, and for actually for almost 30 years. And this nerd saw me at a conference. I was talking about children, and he came to the conference and saw me, and he said he remembered I had on a navy blue suit. He remembered everything I had on, and heard me talking about my children. Children are impactful and important to me. If the minute you give birth to children, they have to become the most impactful thing in your life, at least until they turn 18. And after that, you're still a parent for the rest of your life. It's just that you're parenting differently, if that makes sense. And so that's what brought me here. I came here the first time, just really wanted to experience Philadelphia. I had traveled all over the place. I'd gone to just Philadelphia was one place that I had not gone to. And I met my first husband and stayed, had what was called a permanent visa, and I stayed. So, we have to, and I'm grateful because my father said to me, when my mother passed away, he said, sometimes I wonder if we had done a good thing by allowing you to stay. He said, but I don't think you would have thrived in Jamaica the way you thrive here, right? Right? He said you have a vision that is so vast. You care about what happens to people. You love on people. And we had our passport and visas since we were 9 years old. He wanted us to experience other places, other countries. And yeah, and again, he drove to that, right. So my husband to me is a gem. When I Let me describe this to you. Because I think people see us and think, oftentimes when people first met my husband, they were like, "Oh my God, you're like night and day. How are you so different?" Our hearts met. So our hearts were the same. We both loved children. We both loved our families. We both understood what it was like to take care of people other than ourselves. So our hearts met. And so I am now married to someone who is, left my wallet at my son's house, drove 2 hours home to realize I left my wallet. My son was like, "I'll meet you halfway." I was like, "Nah, I got an extra." My husband got off the ladder and was like, I'm going to go drive to get your wallet." That's who I'm married to. That's who I'm married to. And so we often choose based on the clothes people wear. We often choose based on, what we think folks can do for us to put us in a certain status. But if you are unkind, damn it, if you don't treat people well, if you're walking around with your butt up your behind all the time, you are going to get someone who is either very much like you or who will be repelled by you over time. We have got to be better people. Got to be better people. So as we're facing all of this, I literally could have said to myself and to the people that I know, "Listen, this thing is coming. We got to do." I put every bit of risk on the table and began sharing with all of you what I saw coming. I did the same thing with COVID. The end of 2019, I posted on my Facebook page. I said, listen, something's coming, y'all. And I know y'all think I'm under the hokey, but I pay attention to what's going on around me. I'm not so caught up with my whole life and what's going on in my own life that I don't think about what is happening in the atmosphere. So November 2019, and I wrote a whole manifesto. Listen, something is coming. It's in China right now. And my father believes that if it's there, it's airborne and air travels thousands of miles. Because there were so many of you who kept saying, "Oh, it's in China, it will never hit over here." I don't understand how we do not have cognitive, clear thinking to understand that if something is in the air travels, right? And so I wrote out all the things my father said. Get wipes. If anybody sneezes, run for the hills. That's exactly what he said. He said, make sure you clean out your nostrils. He told us what to use to make sure our nostrils are cleaned out every day. And it's a hot water, steamy hot water with spearmint or something else. I forget the thing that I use now. And he said, make sure you wipe down everything after you touch it. He told us all of this. I put it on my social media page. And those who had been following me for a while understood what I was saying. So that by the time the entire country shut down on March 20th of 2020, many of you were ready. Many of you were not. Many of you were still going on planes. I still thank Dr. Ayla Stanford on March 8th for stopping me from getting on a plane on March 10th to go see my son, who was living in another state at the time. She said, I know your daughter-in-law is pregnant. I know you want to go. No, she wasn't pregnant. They were getting married. And she said, I know you want to go see them. She said, but I'm saving you. Do not get on that plane. And so said, so done. The ticket cost me $600. Had to remember that. Remember that, Lena? And so I canceled my flight, and sat still, and was still going to the gym, but I was wiping everything down and making sure. I still have yet to catch COVID. I've never caught COVID. And so the thing was, many of you kept saying, no, this thing is China in China. No, black people can't get it. Dr. Ayla had to put her life and limb on the line to fight for black people because we were not able to get the test. And then to fight for us again because we were not able to get the vaccine. And folks were coming into our neighborhood when she got the vaccine to say, oh, we live here, when they didn't live here. So the eucalyptus, it was eucalyptus oil, Alexandra. So we tend to only remember in the moment, and then we forget afterwards all that we had gone through. And so now that the World Health Organization is saying there's another pandemic upon us, you know what people are saying? Oh, been there, done that, we'll be fine. What the hell is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? And so hundreds of thousands of people are going to die again. Again. I've begun stocking back up on my masks and my wipes. We still don't carry our shoes in our home. I remember 3 years ago when I kept telling, when folks would come to visit, and I said, you got to leave your shoes on the porch. Oh my God, they talked about me like a dog. Oh, what does she think she is? She can't be that special. You're tracking dirt and germs and dog feces and vomit and whatever else you walked in the streets into your house. If you want to do that, that's up to you. But I'm trying to make sure my husband and I are okay as we are in here. And so if you are not prepared, it is like David said yesterday with Noah and the ark. Y'all just you see the thing coming, you hear the thing coming, and yet you're like, well, I can't do this. This is not, I just can't. I just can't. And so now we have a government that is in office. They have dismantled most of government. So many thousands, hundreds of thousands. Every time I go somewhere and I say to someone who I know work for government, I say, how are you? And they say, I lost my job. People are quietly losing their jobs and freaking the hell out because there's no jobs in sight for them. There are no jobs, right? Government is limiting all sorts of things, limiting how you use your bank account, limiting if you haven't experienced it yet. Sorry, you can only use a certain amount of Apple Cash per week. Since when did that happen? You can only use your Apple Cash for a certain amount of dollars per week. When did that start to happen? The same thing with your Venmo and whatever else. You deposit a check. Instead of it taking 7 business days, it's now 15 business days. The banks are freaking out. The businesses are freaking out. And we are walking around here like all is well. Now, I'm not telling you to walk around with sackcloth and ashes on your head and look downtrodden all the time. But damn it, get ready. Something is upon us. Why are we sitting here acting like it's not happening? This crazy. So let me see. People are talking to me. Cheryl says, I have a lot of people who say, I can't listen to all of that stuff. I don't get it. I'm tired of telling people what I'm trying to prepare with. Little as it is, I am trying. Right. Truthfully, right? Winetta Smith said, yes. And how grateful I am of the nuggets and the guests you have shared with us to get us ready for what's to come. Thank you. Joanne Kim says, the saddest part of the misinformation of the COVID epidemic may be our own people who are in the medical profession. Let me see what else she's saying. And tell us to go against proven science. I don't know. I don't know. As Mother would say, pray and work. That's what I tell y'all all the time. Pray and work. Pray and freaking work. Don't just sit there and pray and think that God is going. God will send you what you need and you will ignore it. And you keep saying, well, God didn't really send me that. Mm-mm. Because some of you just can't, you're not putting it together. I don't know why that is. Folks said that they get afraid. um Laura says, good morning, we love Mr. Yes, yes, yes. Alexander said, folks better wake up. They have an agreement with Rwanda to accept African Haitian deportees. They're trying real hard to get rid of all of us. And what are you going to do? Are you prepared? You're so accustomed to living the American dream, which is, even if you are quote unquote living in poverty in these United States of America, it is a far sight better than living somewhere else where real poverty exists, where you don't have running water, where the electricity gets turned off a certain amount of times during the day so that you can conserve electricity, where the hospitals don't look like your hospitals, shiny and bright, but they have some of the best doctors inside of them because they understand that medical care is first seeing your patients, listening to them, and understanding what they have to say. You're so accustomed to a certain way. One woman was living in Ghana. She says, I can't live here anymore. I don't have my snacks. I only get to eat real regular meals. She was so upset she didn't have her snacks. So you prepare yourselves. And that's something that's coming right here in this country. I've encouraged all of you to get in your cars and drive. Drive 3, 4 states over. Drive 5, 6 states over. A man inboxed to me in 2018 and says, every time you go across the country, I let my children watch you. You're a history lesson. We have been everywhere. We have touched every state. We have been to many of the national parks, Yosemite, Arches, the Arcadia Mountain. We've gone up to Maine and come all the way down to Key West. We have seen it all, and we shared with you the experiences. We did Philadelphia, Mississippi. Some of these towns in this country are so poverty stricken. People are living in houses with their roofs slanted and torn up, and you can see where the rainwater gets in. But because we're all in our little enclaves, 85% of us live in 15% of this country. This country is mostly uninhabited. And we share and we tell you. And you see it as a vacation, but truly, truly, it's a set of lessons that we've been trying to give you every single time we got in our car and drove. 6 times 6 is 36. So over the 5 years that we've gone across the country, we've driven about eight 36, 37, maybe 38,000 miles total. We put in our cars and we showed you everything that we were experiencing. We saw people who had never seen Black people before, right? We saw the bison at Yellowstone Park. We saw bears. We saw foxes. We saw all sorts of things. We had our feet in brooks. I saw women with babies on their backs hanging over a cliff. And Denise and I, well, wait, what? Because white folks know how to do this. They get a little peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They don't stay in five-star hotels. It's a regular hotel like a Holiday Inn. You eat your breakfast, you pack up your babies, and you go. And they get that experience every year. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not against flying and going off to Milan and Greece and all those other places. But when you experience where you live and get a feel for where you live, something I don't think we can do today because there are immigration checkpoints all around the country, in the country. People are being randomly stopped and asking for their peppers. And quite frankly, even if they have their papers, the frightening part for many of us is that we could still be scooped up and taken away. And as I was driving across the country last year, because my mother wanted to see those big trees, that forest. And it's slipping my mind right now. Sequoia, the sequoia trees at National Forest. I said to Denise and Margaret, it's my last time traveling across. I could feel it. I could feel the energy. And sure enough, because of all the things that are going on. But if you don't want to Google, if you don't want to take the drive and go experience things that you've never experienced before, when we went to Yellowstone, we were in a cabin with no running water. And we had to walk down the thing to go get to the bathroom. It, the things that we take for granted here and still don't know all the valuable things that this country offers to us every single day, because we want what we want and we believe what we believe, and all we want to do is talk about the things that matter to us, which is really very nonsensical until life hits us, right? Joanne Kim says, if skin color is a major determinant, why can't we easily see that we can be next? What do they see when they look in the mirror? Yes, Joanne. Winetta says, I went on YouTube and watched documentaries on rural areas in Pennsylvania and states, and I cried. What an eye opening experience, truthfully. You see it all, and we share it. And so now we're trying to, someone from, and again, now that PBS and NPR are on the chopping block because this president, I don't know if I'm, but we've been asked to turn it into a documentary. 5 years of traveling across the country, brown crayons. That's how Denise got called brown crayons. Everywhere she goes, somebody stops her and says, ooh, you're the brown crayon that travels with Andrea. People were watching, people were gaining an experience, and this wasn't about us being cute. We would drive for hours every day and we would talk about the things that mattered. We would listen to podcasts, we would play music, we would stop, get out the car, see a vista in Colorado, and just spin around and scream how grateful we were to be able to be here because we took the time to drive. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you. And so the reason why am here every single day is not for me to cover the mundane and to make you frightened. It's to give you the knowledge to just live. Live, and as you are living, give other people an opportunity to live too. Don't look down on anyone if you unless you're going to look down to lift them up. If someone is asking you for $1 on the street and you see them all the time on the street, give them the damn dollar. Because, but for the grace of God, it could be any one of you, any one of us, really. And I have not been shy to share some of my own struggles so that you understand I'm sitting here now with a wonderful husband and a decent life. And the majority of what I bring into this house goes back out to help other people because I understand. Because I understand. Oh my God. It's just a lot. Um, Marguerite says, "Can you bring someone from the farm college to speak with us? I'll talk to my husband and see who he can get to bring to talk to us, because literally my veggies are all off the chain. They're growing." Alexandra says, one friend has a garden. We'll be swapping. I'll take bread. I'll bake bread and she'll share veggies. Yes, yes, yes. Tanisha says, I'm coming to get. She said, I know you got all the things. I'm coming to get from you. And I'm happy to share. And a lot of what I harvest will be sitting out in front of my driveway so people can just take. You don't have to come and ask. You'll take. We have lots of onions. We have garlic. We have fresh thyme. We have parsley. We have all the things. Scotch bonnet pepper, kale, collard greens, all of that is growing. So when you can't find something in the store, you just go in your garden and you don't need a large space. You do not need a large space to do this. So you can even garden inside your house. Monica says, child, you know something serious is going on when my hubby started planting tomatoes, right? Rooted in my house plant first before transferring. I had no idea what those sprigs were. Tell your husband to keep planting, Monica. Planting is an easy thing for us. The farmers, I've talked about the fact that they have not been able to plant their crops because the monies that were supposed to come to them did not come. The people that would normally work the crops are mostly immigrants. They left. So there's nobody, even if the crops were there, they left. Good morning, teacher nerd. This dress is, thank you about my dress. This dress is all the scraps of material that Renee Bolden had from all the things that I made over the years. It's a cute little thing, but thank you. Um, Jasenia says, my neighbor expanded her security levels to my home. I'm giving my in-home starter crops to my neighbor to plant this weekend. That's what I'm talking about. So your neighbor expanded your security level and you're giving your neighbor starter crops to plant this weekend. This is how we do things, right? Um, Alexandra says, folks better wake up. They have an agreement with Rwanda to accept African Haitian deportees. Jesus. Good morning, Laura. Monica says, being kind, giving, loving, this feeds me and them. I manage people every day for work in property management. They always come in the office looking for me and will leave if I am not there because it says, yeah, yeah, because it says, she says that face is eating as my students say. I don't have any makeup on though. So thank you, darling. Thank you. Just clean face. Lena says, I remember when you said that. Yep, yep. Because I've been talking to you all for years. Monica says, no, I remember seeing all those bodies in tractor trailers. I will never forget that. Joanne Kemp says, I have just started a small indoor planting pots. I have microgreens a little bit, but even if the rest are unsuccessful, I now enjoy at least the company of plants. Planting is therapeutic. It absolutely is. The most beautiful garden I had over the years I've been planting was the year my mother died. I planted and wept, and people would just stop and say, "My God, this garden!" And then over the summer there was a thing going on, and I went out there, and this man said, "Wait, Marvel, you lived 3 doors away from me all this time?" I said, "And shh, don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody." He said, "I promise. I absolutely promise." He said, "My wife and I walk by every day and go, that garden is the joint." Yeah, you don't need a whole lot of space to do what you need to do. Um, Alexandra says, tell it, Marva. I've been sharing with my family members and friends, and they say, I'm living my life. You're overreacting. Now they're scrambling. It's okay. I had the same thing. I had the same thing, Alexandra. I just smile and keep it moving. I don't know what to tell you. Lena says, don't just pray, but step out on faith. Prayer without works is dead. At Lena Porter, that part. David Alexander Jenkins said yesterday, Noah worked on that art grabbing 2 by 2. Mhm. Viola says, I've been traveling by car since I was 14, which is what drew me to you, Miss Viola, because I love the idea that you were constantly driving across the country. Lena says, we travel in our car all the time. Flying is cool, but you miss so much. Yes, my sister, just getting on a plane versus driving and stopping, seeing for ourselves. And when you're driving, you stop whenever you want to. My husband said the first year we were going, he said, well, where are you staying? I said, whenever we decide to stop. He's like, Andrea, you're going across the country. You just go. Yes. And Denise was my wingman. And when she saw that I was starting to get tired, I said, Denise, I got 100 miles left in me. She got on the phone and started to the point where the hotel chain knew us. We racked up so many points. We were staying in hotel rooms for free. Crazy, right? But yeah, that you can do. Charmaine says, I want to go and be the tan in your brown crayon mixture. That will come again. Marguerite says, I'm doing more trips by car this summer. Yeah, we're going to take a couple of ourselves. My husband and I planned a couple. And I'm going to go see one sister who doesn't live far from me and go riding with her husband because we both like to ride bicycles. Viola says, my father's mom lived at 8th and Montgomery Avenue when I was 12. No bathroom in the house. Remember the cigar factory at 9th and Columbia Avenue? Yeah, there are people right now living in the city of Philadelphia that doesn't have working plumbing. Let's just be clear. You all make the assumptions that everybody has these things, and it's not true. Not true. Let's see. Lena says, my green thumb is black. I got to learn how to do it. I'll show you. It's not difficult to do because I thought I had a black thumb too. I don't. Laverne says, I have been dodging car accidents like I'm in a game of PlayStation. So many cars on Philly streets, and they are wild. By grace, we have traveled in my mercy, be it car or plane. I 95 is a mess too. The best driver is not an offensive one, it's a defensive one. So you've got to see everything around you. You can't just be focused on your driving and flying around people. You got to see what's on your side mirrors. You got to see what's on your back mirrors. You got to see what's in front of you. You got to see the entire road as you are driving. You got to. So if you're not a good defensive driver, I'm not getting in your car. I promise you. Laverne says, I am loving planting this year. I started fruits and veggies and herbs indoors, outdoor, and two tower gardens. Praying for success this year. Last year was bad. There are some plants that you put up that will attract all kinds of bugs, you know. So this year I got smart and I fenced in. I put this barbed wire kind of fence around my fruits and vegetables so that they'll at least have a fighting chance to grow up and start to be stronger so they can fight off some of those things. Also know that a bottle with 1 parts vinegar, 1 parts baking soda, 1 parts Dawn dish soap, and a whole lot of water. It makes a good thing that'll spray and get the bugs off of your plants. Don't use chemicals, please, especially if it's the ones that you're going to eat. Um, it's like a good insecticide. I also learned that baking soda put on the ground around the weeds will kill the weeds. Some people use bleach, but bleach gets into the soil, and you don't want to do that. So that's not a good deterrent for the thing. Teacher nurse said, my son and I went to Sedona and drove through the mountains. You could feel God. We had the best experiences. I came home different. Right. That's what I'm talking about. Talking about. That's what I'm talking. Woo! Just beautiful. Let's see what else is happening here. Viola says she has 312,000 miles on her car because you drive a Honda. And you will keep on ticking, honey. She says, good morning. Laverne says, the drag racing and new drivers and angry drivers, you really do have to be smart, cautious, and a defensive driver. So, um, I'm grateful to hear that you all are planting. I'm grateful to hear that you're taking some, if not all, of this seriously. I'm grateful to hear that you're figuring out how to travel this year. Cayenne pepper works too. Viola says, Viola, what do you use for your weed killer? She says she makes her own weed killer. Laverne says, I put cayenne pepper down to keep pests out. I'll work on the weeds because they are stirring out there. Sheba, good morning, Mama Andrea. I love gardening. It's so therapeutic and beautiful to watch evolve. I ordered some plants from a friend of mine who was selling plants as a fundraiser for the Boy Scouts, and he dropped off those plants yesterday. I'm going to plant like no tomorrow. I love planting and finding the worms and digging them out and playing my Angie Stone radio or my Butcher Banton radio on Pandora, and I am just in my Aki, as they would say. It is anytime I feel stressed, I go out into the garden and I plant. And when I see my elderly neighbors, my seasoned citizens or babies walking by and they're pointing to the plants, I offer the flowers to them. You know, I have hibiscus that comes up every year, perennial hibiscus. I finally found them, and perennial tulips and perennial all the things that are in my garden at this point. So that's what we're doing. Alexandra says, yes, the drive to Canada through Western PA was so beautiful and relaxing. If you think that is a thing, get in your car and drive over to Utah and Colorado. I promise you, stop every time you feel tired. Get a hotel that's $99 a night because you just go to sleep, have breakfast in the morning, and go. And just drive. As you get into, if you're coming from the east, you'll hit Colorado before you hit Utah. The vistas will make you holler. The vistas will make you want to crash your car. The vistas will make you go. We just kept going. Wow. Wow. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to post some of those videos to remind you of what we saw. And there were these pull offs where we would pull off, and there were Native Americans sitting out there with their jewelry and their things, and we would get pieces, you know, butterflies, and they would make, because there's a lot of gemstones in the earth, you know, across this country, and they would find the gemstones and they would make necklaces and just just beautiful. Just and then the food is fresh because you're talking about the cows and the beef and the pork and the fish. You're anywhere near water. When we were out in Seattle, anywhere near water, the fish, the seafood is amazing. We drove down to Key West to the very end to mile zero at Key West. That was me and Margaret and Carol. And we went to Mile Zero. The food, the seafood was off the chain. The sunrises and the sunsets. This is how we find our peace when peace is elusive. Even if you can't do all of what I am saying right now, go outside. Yes, teacher nerd. Go outside and watch the sunrise. Just outside, regular outside, wherever you live. Just watch the sunrise and sit outside and watch the sunset. Um, Alexander says, I use Repel to keep the critters away. It's all natural, and the neighbor's kids say it smells like boiled hot dogs. Viola says she used vinegar, Epsom salt, Blue Dawn in a huge Rubbermaid container, 18 gallons. Yep. So we do pretty much the same thing. I didn't put Epsom salt in mine. I used baking soda. It does the same thing. I'll try. But vinegar and Dawn, and a whole lot of water. Yeah. Praiseworthy candles. Tracy says I'm always in my car driving. It works. And so I'm giving you thoughtful things that you can do this summer. You don't want to get on a plane. Because the plane's acting a little simple these days because of course they fired so many of the air traffic controllers. And so planes are catching on fire. And I really am, there are folks who are still traveling. So I'm grateful for that are flying and going where they need to go because the travel industry should not suffer, even as I believe that it will continue to more and more, and that people are going to try and stay in the country. I do recognize that a lot of folks outside of the country are refusing to come here. They just don't want to be here right now because they're very concerned about what's going on. So they're losing some of that money of folks coming in here. Canadians are selling their homes that are here, specifically in Florida. Because it's so cold there, they're selling their homes there and going somewhere else. So for every action, there's an equal or greater reaction. And so, where can you go this summer? What can you do? What does that look like? You know, I can't wait to have my grandchildren with me. I said to my daughter-in-law, what are you planning for them this summer? Do they want to take swimming lessons again? Do you want to put them, the twins, into soccer? What do you want to do? She says, Mom, I haven't even thought about it. I'm just living day to day. But they have a nice sized backyard. We go out and we put up these things and we turn on the water and the things blow up and they're sliding down the things and playing with the dogs. And we're finding ways for them, even if we can't leave the house, we're finding ways for them to be okay. But something as simple as going every single weekend and saying, Grandma's here. What y'all want to do? On the other side, my husband goes and finds Mr. Professor. So we have to split up ourselves because Mr. Professor is in everything: football, basketball, soccer, all the things. But we make sure our grandchildren are okay. The local beaches, absolutely. Um, Alexandra says, I'm getting my porch ready for porching with my neighbors to the local beaches. Absolutely. Joanne Kemp says, is peppermint a good deterrent? I've heard that, and I've not used peppermint on my plants. I don't know. Some people say that they're good. I've just never. Because I'm thinking that whatever is that I'm putting on the plant. The other thing that's a good fertilizer are eggshells. And I eat eggs every day. I got to build protein because I'm lifting weights. And so I asked my husband to keep the eggshells and I'll put them around my lime tree and I'll put them with the strawberries and the blueberries and I'll put them with the onions and the carrots and all the things. So that's a good thing. So you can try it. I mean, just try it in a small space because you want to be careful not to harm the plants. Joanne Kemp says anonymous employees, air traffic controllers are advising not to fly out of Newark, and some of them are on stress leave. I have a friend who works in the aviation industry, and she said based on what she sees, I will not get on a plane for the next several years. There's too much danger, too much risk for us because there are just not enough people to work and to make sure that we're safe in the air. But again, that's just one story from one person who's been at this. I think she says she's been in aviation for 30 years. So that's where we are. You get to choose. Praiseworthy Candle says, I'm too far from my grandson, so I'm getting some books to send him, and we're going to FaceTime read. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to get my time in. Absolutely. When my mother was sick and my husband had surgery and damn near vanquished out of here, that's how I talked to my grandchildren, FaceTime. They didn't get to see me for weeks. And so I was calling them via FaceTime. Sometimes my son would call me or my daughter-in-law would call me randomly. I would see their faces and I would just cry. I miss them terribly, but I got to talk to them and play with them. Thank God for technology on some levels. Kyle, good morning. Good morning, sir. How are you? Mom was out here trying to get people to either plant, get themselves together, as we move through this time that we're in. Beatrice says, on the back of the Epsom salt bags, it tells you what to do for your lawn, garden plants, shrubbery, and more. To check out the back of your Epsom. Thank you, Beatrice. Charmaine says, who can help me plan food? What do you need? You just need the take a regular old potato and put it in water and let it sit until it starts to spout something, and then you put it in the ground. Same thing with your seeds from a watermelon. If you have a watermelon, take the watermelon seeds and plant them. Anything that has seeds, you always hear me say, Mother, don't eat anything that doesn't have a seed in it. That's how we're supposed to make it work. If it has doesn't have seeds in it, do not put it in your mouth. It's been genetically modified. Convenience is going to be the death of us. I'm telling you. Caroline says marigolds are a good flower to plant with various veggies. I'm adding them to my pots this year. I have marigolds in my front yard, not in the back. I'll see. But the marigolds expand, so I didn't want them to take over the veggies. So I'll let the veggies grow a little bit first, and then I'll add the marigold plants to them. Thank you, Carlene. Ah. Repeat. Alexander said, repeat and her side eye, baby. All my grandchildren have a vicious side eye. My children blame me for the side eyes, but they have side eyes too. Oh well, my son got the side eye from me, so I guess it came from me. But my daughter-in-law has a good side eye too. I'm trying to tell you, my grandchildren are going to be memes. We make memes out of them because they're just adorable. And repeat has a side eye. Whoo, that's out of this world. Viola says we grew potatoes back in the day, and you can grow them again. You don't need much space to grow. Um, you can grow kale and spinach inside. You can grow lettuce inside. You can grow collard greens inside. You can grow onions. Onions grow within 4 to 6 days of planting the seeds or the bulbs. You'll start to see them sprouting through the ground. You'll get onions all summer, fall long. Kale and collard greens come back the following year, so they're perennials. So does thyme. So some of the things is some of the things you don't have to replant. You just don't. You do not have to replant once you put them in the ground. I have a peach tree that I just let the squirrels go forth and have a good time. Ain't no need in trying to. By the time I go out and look for the peach is half eaten on the ground. All right, enjoy your life. Then the squirrels run after the birds, try to leap onto the bird feeder, which is up in the air because the birds have food. I was like, I took the hose and I was like, get away. So the squirrels will make you crazy, but you have to figure out how to protect your plants. Put regular wire around them and put netting. Any kind of netting you can find from the dollar store, just put it over your plants. That will help to protect them. The wire fencing stops the squirrels and other animals from getting in, but the netting pretty much helps too. So use that as a source of what you can do. Lena says, "Repeat is so stinking cute." She gives that looks like, "Don't mess with me." I have got to, before I get off the air, tell you about the dude that came to do my floors yesterday. Finally, he sent me a thing yesterday evening. He said, "Miss Andrea, I got home and I've been working on what your floor is going to look like." And I looked at it and said, "Yes, Black. I can't wait to show you all. Cannot wait to show you all." So we're going to work it out. We're going to work it out. Just a little bit at a time. Pray, meditate, practice kindness. Pray, meditate, practice kindness. Because the kinder you are to people, they will remember you and come back and be kind to you. And in the time and the era that we're going into in this country, we're going to need each other. So know who your tribes are. Know who your tribes are. Know who your tribes are. Laverne says, "Yes, I said I was going to get a bird feeder for my outdoor tower. I have my nets and my wire." Yes, honey. Yes. Yes. And it doesn't cost a whole lot of money. $10. If I have a whole wire thing that covered quite a few pots. And I think I may have spent $12 for it. So look, go to the hardware stores. I drove all the way out to Westchester to a hardware store that had everything in it. Now, if you off the colored persuasion and you go out there, you're not going to see a whole lot of us. But the white folk out there are just as nice and as kind as can be. And they have everything. They were even selling baby chickens for you to put in your pond, your little baby ducks for you to put in your pond. And I said, well, I need to build a pond. I saw my husband's face and I was like, yeah, we're not going to do that. Not right now. I'm going to convince him. But they have everything out there. It's called Ace Hardware. And it was beautiful. And it's a great drive. The drive is beautiful. And I love to drive. So it'll take you about an hour and 15 minutes to get there. But my God. the roads just driving, meandering along the roads are helpful to your well being and your peace of mind. I think I have told you everything that I could today. Thank you for joining me. Sometimes I just don't want to have a guest. Sometimes I just want to talk to you and read your comments because I want to know what you're doing, how you're doing. One last thing, lemon balm. While it is excellent and it is a weed deterrent and it makes a great tea, lemon balm will take over your entire garden. So I would suggest that you plant it in a pot. Okay, that was it. This episode of Mornings with Mother is officially over. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody. Bye bye. Bye, darlings. Morning, Stella. Bye, Stella. Bye, darlings. See you tomorrow.